welcome to the first episode of Strolling on Saturdays. Today I'm going to take you on a walk through my neighborhood. I live in a small village, the village of Coloane in Macau. The population is 3,000 people. So it's really lovely, very peaceful, very quiet, very few cars at night. So join me on a walking tour. Take a stroll with me. It's a Saturday, Strolling on Saturday in Coloane. Everything here is really quite convenient. It's a 1-minute walk, and here we are at the local post office. Okay, so let's go take a little walk down the street. It's just a 1-minute walk to the bus stop, which is right here. And so one thing you're going to notice is this very interesting Fanta bottle. And this bottle, these are cement, concrete bottles of different kinds of soft drinks, Coca-Cola, Fanta, Sprite, all over town. These were made during the 1970s when typhoons were very common and signs would get blown down. So we have this is very unique to Macau. And here we have the little booth for the bus depot, seats for us to sit on when we're waiting for the bus. And it's very quite deserted here at the bus stop because of the virus. And everyone's going around here in masks. And this is the town roundabout. The town of Coloane has a population of 3,000. So we're very, very safe, very isolated from a lot of people. And although Macau has the densest population in the world, living here in Coloane, we feel very, very safe because there's not very many people. Although the last week or the last 10 days, people have been coming out to Coloane in droves because they feel safer coming out to a place like Coloane where there's so few people. But then for the residents, we're kind of like, please leave us alone and don't come here. Okay, we're coming around the square, and that's the clinic. I'll be coming back and showing you that in a minute. And here we have our vegetable and fruit stand. So everyone's busy buying up food and supplies, and you can see there's quite a crowd. We're very lucky we have a good supply of fresh fruits and vegetables coming from China, fresh every day. Very, very good selection. Over here we have a little market. Again, they're quite well stocked. All kinds of daily necessities. Again, it's only a 1-minute walk from my home. Here you see one of our famous banyan trees. So we have hundreds of banyan trees in Macau. And one very interesting thing about Macau is every tree has a license plate. So this is tree number 0104. It's a Ficus rumphi. So it's a kind of tree. This is a banyan tree. Banyan trees were brought to America by Thomas Edison. And these things have branches and roots that grow and grow and grow, can grow for miles and miles and miles as they spread their branches like tentacles all over the place. Here's our health clinic. We have 24-hour health clinic service, and if we need an emergency, we can come down. They'll call the doctor any time of day or night. We come here and they'll call an ambulance for us, and an ambulance will show up in about 3 to 5 minutes. And coming over here is one of the things that people come to Coloane for. This is the home of Lord Stow's Bakery, the home of the famous Asian egg tart that was started here in 1989 by Andrew Stow, a British gentleman who kind of recreated this dessert for tourists. Well, he created it for the local people, but it's become very famous and well known by tourists. All right, now we're going to come around the block here, and right next to our island is China. China is very, very close. It's only, well, literally a stone throw. So here we are at the border. This is the waterfront. We call this the waterfront. And here you see the banyan trees. Their roots are dropping. And when these roots drop, they will grow another tree. So the banyan tree can grow for thousands of miles. And you see them all along the river, the water side here. Here you see the waves coming in. Now this is a very interesting thing. You see this little thing here? Actually, people used to walk illegally across from over here. They would walk from over here using this to come over to Macau. And many illegal immigrants came that way. Now if you look on this end, way over here, you can see it. And here's the little watchtower that they used to watch for people walking or swimming across to get into Macau illegally. So this is called Wan Kum. It's a very small Chinese village. So this is China. We can see China. You can see there's just a little walk. You can walk across the water and you're there during low tide. And so very interestingly, this was when we first moved here about 20 years ago. At night you would see two street lights, and that was all you saw. There was no buildings, there was nothing. And yet in the last 20 years that we've been here, they built this whole town, kind of almost a city. Now on both ends we have lots of interesting things. On this end we have the Chim Long Resort, and this has a zoo, an animal kingdom zoo with zebras and tigers and all kinds of wild animals, and it has the world's largest aquarium. So kids love to come here and look at the fish. They have a dolphin show. It's something that people bring their whole families to. It's about $50 US for a ticket for a one-day trip. Now if we go from here all the way over to the other side of the village, like this, over here is the University of Macau. And this university used to be really teeny tiny. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, they decided to build a new campus. And this campus is 10 times the size of the old one. And they spent $1.5 billion US to build this campus. So it's really large. It's actually part of Zhuhai, which is China. But there's a tunnel that connects it to Macau. And this land has been granted the rights to Macau to have this university, and only Macau residents can go in through this tunnel. You cannot come in on the left there from the village. You cannot come in from Zhuhai into this piece of land, which is now considered part of the coloring of the buildings. Green, yellow, and pink. These are very traditional Portuguese colors. And so when the Portuguese came here, a lot of the culture was accepted into the system, into the Chinese community. And if you look down here, we have these famous Portuguese type sidewalks. Notice the artwork that's in the sidewalk. Here we have a sailboat, Portuguese style sailboat. And then again, we have more benches and more trees. These were built for us by the Portuguese before the handover, but the bulk of the ones that we see here in Macau were built after 1999. So although they seem very old, they're actually quite new. And so the stones are still imported from Portugal, but they're put in place by Chinese workers at a very low cost. So the city is kind of covered with these kind of sidewalks to give it a very historic kind of look. Now I'm going to show you over here a very interesting piece of scenery. Have to cross the street is the church square. But more importantly, if you see here, we have little fountains, quite nice. And then right here, we have a memorial that was built by the Portuguese. And this is to help remember the history and origin of Coloane. Because the history and origin of Coloane was, it was a pirate's den. Basically, people came here from here. They would dock somewhere along here, their ship. Well, probably more like a boat, not a ship. And then come over here and do their trading in this square. And again, just to show you the mix of culture in Macau, we have this church right here. This is the St. Francis Xavier Church here in Coloane. And at one point, they actually had a bone, the funny bone of St. Francis Xavier, in the church itself in a glass case. But a few years ago, they shipped it to Japan, where more of the relics of Francis Xavier exist. So it's, I think, in a museum in Japan now. So again, you see this nice colonial style sidewalk. You have a Chinese restaurant on one side, and you have a Portuguese restaurant on the other. Now, to show you the quaintness of living in this village, I've already shown you that basically we have everything here. We have restaurants, cafes, we have a lot of wide open spaces. Again, there's only 3,000 people, so it's wonderful that way. But look at this. Now, this is very cute. And this is a very small library. And one of the things you'll notice is the signage. And again, beautiful yellow color, very Portuguese. The signs are in Chinese and Portuguese. Biblioteca, Portuguese for library. Again, notice the nice design of the posts and the historical looking lamps and more banyan trees. And now we have these little lucky trees. Lucky trees. So these bring us good luck during the Chinese New Year. And they haven't been taken down yet, even though the Chinese New Year is over. So let's continue our walk. Some of the nice local artwork here. Here we have a building run by the Lutherans. And then over on the end is a little school. So here we have the Luso-Chinese School of Coloane. They have, I think, 4 branches in all of Macau. Some of the nice horticulture in Macau. We're very blessed to have a budget that allows us very nice decoration, nice floral arrangements throughout the entire year. And this is a fence made with this beautiful bush, very colorful. So this is the end of the street, and this is a little temple that we have in Coloane. So again, remember we saw that church earlier? And again, we see that wonderful mix of Chinese and Portuguese, Chinese and Western culture. People ask me, what religion do people have? Well, this temple is a good representation of that. It's actually called a miu in Cantonese. And really it's kind of a mix, a hodgepodge of religious belief. So Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, kind of all mixed up into one. And that is your tour of Coloane Village.